Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most well-hydrated cryptocurrency news and TA channel in the world. And folks, today I have very massive news because we just got a pretty substantial update in regards to PulseSwap. On this channel, we've been trying to update our community with what's going on with PulseSwap, as I believe it is a very interesting opportunity, a very rare opportunity that we don't often see. It is so rare to be able to get in on the ground floor before something's out. A project that's likely to stick around over the years on a dominant chain, folks, is such a rare opportunity. And so we have just heard word that PulseSwap is not going to be in fact called PulseSwap. It will be called PulseX. So folks, the main decentralized exchange on Pulse chain will be referred to PulseX. This is a pretty big deal, folks. We just got this tweet a couple hours ago, and folks, you have got to follow our Twitter because Richard Hart has recently tweeted that the PulseX sacrifice phase, where you can sacrifice cryptocurrency, get points that will lead you to get PulseX coins, will begin before the end of the year. And if the PulseX sacrifice phase is anything like the Pulse chain sacrifice phase, you'll be able to sacrifice coins from a pre-selected list of cryptocurrencies. They're going to make that list very public. It'll mainly be ERC20s, so that means your Ethereum, that means your stable coins, USDC, DAI, that means your HEX, that means your Chainlink. Those coins are very likely to be eligible to participate in the PulseX sacrifice phase. So folks, why don't we take a look at what HEX is doing and whether it makes sense to be buying HEX at these regions for the PulseX sacrifice phase. Now, I do want to say that, folks, you've got to follow our Twitter. There'll be a link down in the description below. On December the 10th, I called the bottom. Folks, I bought the bottom. I staked the bottom because it was very clear. I think it was Pedo McHorn Neck came out spreading FUD about HEX. So that was a very bullish signal. We were also seeing daily bullish divergence on the RSI, where we had lower lows in price action but higher highs on our side. It's bullish divergence. Momentum is clearly shifting to the upside with a 2x looming, 75% down from all-time highs. You can earn on aggregate 60% APY. Folks, this, what was this? 75% dump we had with HEX was very was just too good to pass up on. And I really want to stress the importance of buying quality on support, on trend lines. Folks, I'm a massive fan and a massive proponent of buying on support, buying on our trend line here. So taking a look at HEX on the log scale on the weekly chart here, we can see that we perfectly tested our trend line here from all the way back from May 2020. And folks, I bought around these regions around 13 cents. I was letting people know that I was buying and staking around these regions at around 13 cents. So folks, like and subscribe and go follow our Twitter because we're calling this shit right. And HEX is now up over 97% since we tested our trend line here, which is very good to see. And just to show you guys other examples of the power of buying on support on trend lines, this is a VeChain chart here. I recently tweeted this out as well. We're looking at a log chart on a daily basis. We have a clear trend line here. That is exactly where we fell down to, and for the moment we're holding it as support, and we're currently up 13.6%. So if you would have bought the dip on support, you could have been up 13% on VeChain. Looking at Casper Labs, this is another project I like that I've been talking a lot about in our VIP disc group and on our Twitter. If you would have bought the trend line, you would have been up over 15%. Folks, buying dips on support on a historically relevant trend line can be a very, very profitable strategy. So just to show you guys, I just want to bring these examples up to show you guys the power of buying dips on support on our trend lines here. Now, as to whether or not it makes sense to be buying HEX at these regions to sacrifice for PulseX or just to hold it for the long term. Look, guys, I think years down the road, HEX is going to perform absolutely amazingly. I think we might see a HEX in the dollars, tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, many, many years down the road. So if that's truly the case, does it really make sense to be debating 23 cents or 20 cents? Probably not. But with that being said, I am generally speaking not a fan of buying pumps, and we are right up against resistance. So folks, it's a bit hard to call HEX right now because we've had a very decent pump here. we are right up against resistance here. Looking at the 4 hour, seeing some signs of momentum slowing down here, lower highs on the RSI, which makes sense. We're right up against resistance, but we also have that bullish catalyst of PulseX incoming. So what I would say, folks, if you're interested in HEX, investing HEX in the long term, if you're interested in buying HEX, sacrifice for PulseX, what I would say is if we can get any kind of pullback, I would consider yourself and myself very lucky, and I would definitely buy any kind of pullback we may have here with HEX. With that being said, folks, we gotta understand that even though we have the bullish catalyst of PulseX launching, which people will sacrifice HEX, that will remove circulating supply for an extended period of time, if not presumably forever, which is very bullish for HEX, because the less circulating supply, the easier it is to drive price up. So that's a bullish catalyst. We also have the launch of Pulse Chain happening roughly a month after PulseX is all wrapped up, which will allow you to buy, sell, and stake your HEX for very, very cheap fees for pennies. So we have two massively bullish catalysts ahead for HEX, which are likely to positively impact the price. But with that being said, we are still in a macro downtrend with macro lower lows and lower highs. And when we're in a macro downtrend, the possibility of new lows is always very possible. So these relief rallies may just be that. There is the possibility that this is just temporary. So folks, what I'm looking out for with HEX to understand whether the downtrend has been broken or not is the exact opposite of a downtrend, which is an uptrend. And so what do we need to see to understand if we're in an uptrend? We need higher highs and higher lows. That's what we need to see if we want to say HEX is out of this downtrend, because all we have, even with this decent relief rally, up 97% from the bottom, we still have macro lower highs and lower lows. So if HEX can get daily candles closing at a higher high above 28 cents here, 29 cents, that would be very constructive towards reversing the downtrend. And presumably, folks, even HEX, even though HEX likes to go up a lot, we always have retracements. So let's presume we do that. Let's say we have a retracement. As long as it's a higher low, then in that case, we can have a conversation of the downtrend potentially being broken. So even though I'm super long-term bullish on HEX years out, we've got to be very well aware that even though we have bullish catalysts with PulseX and Pulse Chain, given that we're still in a macro downtrend, the possibility of new lows is very real. So just understand that if we get any kind of pullback here, even to 20 cents, 21 cents, I'll probably be picking up some HEX in order to sacrifice for PulseX. Frankly, I personally I'm happy with my HEX and how much HEX I've staked. I think I'm currently like 96% staked. Average stake length of 10 years, over 10 years, 10.2 years at this point. So I'm happy with my HEX holdings. At this point moving forward, I'm going to be mostly concerned with sacrificing for PulseX and then accumulating Pulse Chain. That's my strategy. So if you don't have any HEX, again, folks, a pullback would be great to buy. We're still in a macro downtrend. The possibility of new lows is always possible. That being said, we have massively bullish catalysts, and if HEX is going to $10, $100 in a couple of years, does it really matter whether you buy at 20 cents, 15 cents in the grand scheme of things? That's a question that only you can answer. So folks, look, I hope you appreciate my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think about the PulseX rebrand here? Do you like the name? Do you not like the name? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Folks, like and subscribe. For God's sakes, follow our Twitter. There's a link down in the description below. If you want to become a VIP, just remember there's a link to join down in the description below. You get access through our Patreon, where you get calls such as this. I'm calling the bottom on VeChain. I'm calling the bottom on Casper Labs here. I call the bottom on HEX here very publicly. Go follow our Twitter. Make sure you like and subscribe, because as more details come out as to how to participate in PulseX when Pulse Chain comes out, we're going to be doing non-stop coverage. Like and subscribe, folks, and until next time, take care.